Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the meeting of the Grandville City Council. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Michelle to call the roll, please.
All right, Flanagan.
Here.
Gelderlos.
Present.
Meringa.
Present.
Steenstra.
Here.
Sullivan.
Here.
Vanderwall.
Present.
Mayor Moss.
Here. Well, tonight for the invocation, we have Angie Walker from Zion Reformed Church. So for those of you who wish, I'd invite you to stand for the invocation. We're going to follow that with Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, thank you for summertime in Grandville. Thank you for all the great things happening to build community and support in our city. Things like the farmers market, the summer concerts, and our upcoming July 4th celebration, with this year celebrating the 250th anniversary of America. We pray for the numerous volunteers and staff that it takes to do all of these things. We pray for the festivities to truly be something that brings us together. In addition to the events, we are thankful for a city that has some really nice parks and paths that bring people outside and together. God, help us to be a community that continues to be caring, full of peace, justice, service, and hospitality to others. I thank you and pray for guidance for those who lead our city. From the elected officials to the city staff, I pray for their families too. Sometimes a city job requires a lot during all hours of the day and night. Thank you for the support of the families. May tonight's meeting be one in which discussions and decisions are guided by peace and a view of bettering our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Angie, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I appreciate it. The council, you have before you the agenda for tonight's meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
A motion and support by Mike. Any comments? All those in favor of approving, please say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Any opposition, please say no. We also have a couple sets of minutes. The June 8th meeting, which I was not there, but the minutes look great to me. JR, thanks for chairing the meeting. And so we'll take those first. Had a chance to review those minutes from June 8th regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
Motion and support by JR. Any comments, questions, anything anybody wants to highlight? No. All those in favor of approving those minutes, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposition, please say no. Then we have last week's special city council meeting, Tuesday, June 16th. Had a chance to take a look at that. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Motion and support by Tim. All those in favor of approving, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposition, please say no. Great. Presentation of the bills, Griffin. It's a kind of a smaller amount. And there's a lot of asphalt too, so I don't know.
There is, yeah, smaller than the last couple, and yeah, we're still gonna await our big asphalt invoice here probably in the next couple meetings. But just a few to highlight on this check register. First off, an invoice in the amount of $10,450 to BioCare Inc. This is for the annual fire department medical screenings that they've had conducted recently. There are a few vendor names on here that may not be as familiar. Aces Wild Entertainment, Family Friendly Entertainment, as well as one I found particularly interesting, Whiskey Entertainment. And all of these, just to clarify, are various vendors and entertainment acts associated with the upcoming 4th of July festivities. So for those that maybe stood out to you, that's what those are associated with. We do have one that is pavement related, $18,448.55, Michigan Pavement Markings, Inc. This is for the street markings, lines, crosswalks, etc. that have been being redone in town this spring. We have invoice to Ottawa County Public Utilities in the amount of just over $6,000. This is associated with the biosolids study that the Clean Water Plant has been taking part in with some of the other communities in the region. And then lastly, Superior Ground Cover Inc. invoice in the amount of $10,351.25. This is mulch, and more mulch for all of the city parks, city facilities, and a lot of the other public spaces that have been getting cleaned up over the last handful of weeks. So with all that, I think town's looking great, and I'm happy to answer any questions about any of the other invoices. But that total of $347,375.95 is a little bit less than normal.
Questions for Griffin about any of the bills tonight? Is there a motion to approve the bills tonight in the amount of $347,375.95?
So moved.
Support. Support? Oh, we got support already, okay. Great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Councilman Gelderlos,
Yes.
Merringa,
Yes.
Steenstra,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Vanderwall,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Moss.
Yes. Time for public comment. Anybody here tonight like to address the council? Just come on up to the podium, give us your name, address. Tell us what you're thinking. Any comment? Any public comment? Kyla? Sure.
I don't know if he had something else. I'm Kyla Boss, and what, is this where I'm supposed to be, Griffin?
We have you on the agenda, your item later for the tree list. but
Can
if
I
you have other
back out of
comments,
this
you're
then?
No, thanks.
Thank you.
welcome. Okay.
We'll hear from you in a couple minutes. I thought maybe you had some other tree-related things, so, great. Anybody like to address the council?
Raspberries.
Come on up. Last call, public comment. Okay, go to the next item. It's under ordinances and resolutions. It looks like planning commission, JR, Carolyn has been very busy with some technical items. It looks like there's a lot of substance to these. So that's why I really appreciate the memos from McKenna summarizing them.
So do we.
They were very good. So the first one is ordinance number 25-003 proposed. That's for data centers and digital mining amendment. So would you, from McKenna, like to?
Yeah, Remy
walk
Clark
us through that?
with
That's great.
McKenna.
Okay.
Hey, good to see everybody again. I'm sure you've all had a chance to look at the ordinance. I know it's a little dense, so I'll run through some of the highlights for you, and then if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. So to quickly summarize, as quickly as is possible with something like this, per this ordinance, hyperscale data centers, the largest of the three we've classified in this ordinance, would be allowed as a special land use in the I-2 industrial district. Small and medium scale data centers would be allowed as a permitted use in the I-2 industrial district. Accessory scale data centers, which are smaller, like servers that businesses would use to keep records, would be permitted in any zoning district. Applications for data centers as required by this ordinance would require the submission of detailed documentation outlining environmental and utility impacts, essentially proving that there is capacity to fuel the data center without detracting from the quality of life of residents. They would need to provide supporting regulatory documentation regarding stormwater, electrical capacity, water and sewage, and noise considerations. On the topic of noise considerations, in this ordinance, we've included a highway noise exemption. The idea being to encourage the siting of data centers closer to the highway and further from homes. Primary structures for data centers located within 400 feet of a highway would be exempt from an octave band test. There's two different noise tests in this ordinance, the octave band test being the more in-depth of the two. It would essentially exempt them from the more in-depth noise study, because within that 400-foot radius of the highway, our findings, and based on research that we found from, I forget which university, but a university, would be drowned out within that 400-foot radius. Data centers would be required to be at least 500 feet away from any residential zoning district and at least 200 feet away from any mixed-use or form-based zoning district. And finally, we've included a pretty extensive decommissioning and adaptive reuse requirements section. because of the built-out nature of Grandville as it exists now, I don't think any of us expect to see a giant multi-acre data center like the ones we've been seeing in the news all over the place. So we wrote this section with the idea in mind that Grandville would probably, in the event this were to occur, be seeing smaller and medium-scale data centers filling in industrial spaces or finding smaller industrial lots. So we have written it with the idea that any structure that would be built for the use of a data center would need to be built with the idea of future adaptive reuse in mind. They would need to implement freighting considerations that would work for a warehouse use. Floor to height ratios of a warehouse would need to be implemented. Plumbing and mechanical needs of a warehouse would need to be implemented. Essentially just trying to make it as easy as possible for future infill development after the data center has been decommissioned. So that kind of covers a lot of the major points of it. If you guys have any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Mayor, if I can, I just want to add that data centers are one of those topics that I think are pretty hot in the news recently. And just want to clarify that we have not been approached, we have not received applications regarding data centers like some of our neighboring communities have, and we've read about it. Really the intent of this ordinance is, while these uses are unlikely to take place in Grandville because of the limited availability of space and land, the current zoning ordinance doesn't include any specific standards or even definitions associated with these uses. So this amendment's gonna help ensure that at some point in the future, should we receive an application, should we receive an inquiry, that appropriate regulations are in place so we could legally and appropriately manage those processes and aren't gonna be caught flat-footed. So I know we've gotten a few questions from some people asking that, are we doing this because we're gonna bring data centers into Grandville? I don't expect so. I think the reality here is we're just trying to be as proactive as we can, given the economic reality and the time we live in.
Right, yeah, I think it's good to be proactive in this and have something in place. Any questions for Remy on the ordinance, or JR, who's on the planning commission, or Carolyn? I mean, it looks very well thought out. I thought it was especially interesting, like the decommissioning process. That was like, oh, it's pretty thorough.
Yeah.
That's questions. Just talk a little bit about how you came up with the definition of the sizing requirements being based on energy consumption and how we picked like 5 megawatts to 100 megawatts.
Yeah, so the ranges that we have listed here are based on just sort of a general model ordinance that was developed in conjunction with Foster Swift. We have had communities alter those ranges. They don't necessarily have to be those ranges. Those are just sort of the uniform industry ranges that they're using to define them.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're seeing other communities.
Yeah, especially more rural communities with less infrastructure capacity, or maybe making the small data center down to a 0.5 kilowatt measurement rather than 5 megawatts or something like that, to be more in line with their actual infrastructural capacity.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, can you go over again the hyperscale over 100 megawatts, I2 only, and it's special?
Yeah, hyperscale, I2 only and special land use, medium and small scale, I1 and I2 permitted use, but would have to meet all of the requirements set forth in this ordinance.
Yeah, and select, or accessory,
Permitted in all
Be
zoning
anywhere.
districts, yeah,
but it has to be secondary to another use.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought the 5 megawatts is pretty high for that small system. Just for reference, like a Meyer store is 1 megawatt, so this could be up to 5, equivalent of 5 Meyer stores. Is there any reason we wouldn't consider, from like a risk perspective, or any other reason that we wouldn't want to consider like prohibiting hyperscale, period?
It would fall under maybe exclusionary zoning at that point, since it is a use, an emerging land use, but one that is occurring. It has to be addressed in the ordinance somehow, and straight up prohibition of a use would fall under the category of exclusionary zoning.
Okay. So it's better to define
Define it
context
and
in which it
address
can
it.
happen.
Exactly.
Than to say it can't happen.
Yeah.
The risk is that if we don't provide for it somewhere, someone could file a lawsuit, say we have exclusionary zoning. And the risk then, if you lose that suit, is effectively the court can just approve the use. So it's better to, and there are there's a lot more to it. They have to have a demonstrated need for that in this community. Is there really a demonstrated need for a hyperscale data center in any particular community? That's kind of one of the things that remains a little up in the air. But yeah, it's better to have it in there than not have it covered.
One last one. Did you do any review of parcels within the city on how many may
Yeah,
hyperscale?
to an extent, there's not really any existing parcel that would be suitable to a hyperscale facility realistically. We did some initial analysis on it. There's not really any parcel that's super compatible to most data center uses, quite frankly. Some in the industrial district may be possible, but they're currently occupied by existing businesses or whatnot. So I wouldn't say that Grandville is at the highest risk of having any immediate data center development pressure.
And that's where I think we go back to, I mean, I'm never gonna sit here and say it'll never happen ever, because we don't know, but I would say pretty confidently, I think the odds of a large or hyperscale data center taking place in Grandville are quite low.
Randy, you have a question?
Yeah, I don't have a zoning map in front of me, so I'm just kind of trying to scratch my head a little bit. First of all, thank you, the planning commission, for all your work in getting ahead of this. I think it's a great idea to get ahead of this. I'm just wondering off the top of my head, and again, I don't have the map, but we've got like Spartan Industrial Drive, Wentworth, right by Spartan Industrial Drive, you got Ramblewood, just north of 28th Street, we have an industrial area that's very close to the castle. And going back many years, and I know the mayor was here when the plant on 30 on Prairie, the old Nelson's Metal.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's an industrial use, but we had these sound issues that were bouncing around. I don't know, maybe it would be helpful just to, if we can get a map to see where some of these areas are. And also, do we have the ability to, we can't do exclusionary zoning, but can we mandate that they're within 400 feet of the interstate? And make those the only acceptable areas, just?
I'm not sure that it could be mandated because they are being permitted based on zoning district. And saying you're allowed in this zone, but only if you're within 400 feet of a highway would potentially be administrative overreach.
So Remy, we could theoretically do an overlay district, but it
An
would
overlay
be-
district
but
would
it
be possible.
different than the existing zoning district. So
Right.
if that's something council wanted to see, we could send it back to the planning commission and ask them to consider an overlay.
Did you guys discuss that at all, or an overlay district or anything? I mean, I think this was all great. I just remember, we have some really nice neighborhoods very close to industrial property, and sound can bounce off of big buildings and carry, and just, I don't know.
An overlay
It's just
district
I2,
was,
right? 'Cause that-
sorry?
It is just I2 for hyperscale.
For hyperscale, just I2, yeah. An overlay district was not a part of our conversation with planning commission as we were developing this ordinance.
To Jason's point, so I1, like Spartan Industrial, I believe is just an I1. I2 is just a few properties, like, I think it's like Padnos and, the concrete plant and.
It's basically Chicago,
Yeah.
north of Chicago Drive,
Yeah.
north of
Yep.
28th Street, that Grandville Business Center complex.
Yep.
That is the hyper place, and but it's all that north. You'd have to have Grand Rapids Gravel Company totally move out. You'd have to have the other, is it Lamar Pipe Storage Facility area, that would have to move out. And you probably pick up a couple more, even have the ability to put in a hyperscale media, data center.
But I'm happy to send, I'll send a zoning map out after the meeting, in between this meeting and the subsequent one, when you guys consider, adoption. If there is additional interest in exploring the overlay concept, you all could send it back to the planning commission at that time. But I'm happy to send out the map.
And I think this is all good stuff, just strange things happen sometimes.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions? Now, is there a motion to introduce post ordinance number 26-003 on ordinance to amend ordinance number 281, the zoning ordinance of 2021 regarding data centers and digital mining?
So, support.
Motion and support. Comments? All right. Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Councilman Merringa,
Yes.
Steenstra,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Vanderwall,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Felderlos,
Yes.
and Mayor Mas.
Yes. Now, is there a motion to table proposed ordinance 26-003?
Motion. Support.
Support, any discussion? All those in favor of tabling, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposition, please say no. Okay. Since you're up here already, talk about vehicle parking in residential areas.
Sure. So this is one that Matt started before he left Grandville to address some resident concerns regarding the parking of commercial vehicles in residential areas. This is a relatively straightforward amendment compared to the data centers one. We did our best to clean up the language a little bit in a way that would discourage the storage of commercial vehicles on residential streets while not punishing residents who may own commercial vehicles, use their work vehicle for their primary form of transportation. So we try to be mindful of those aspects. Essentially, the ordinance would just prohibit the storage of, the long-term storage of commercial vehicles on residential streets. And then at the very end of the memo here, you'll see a new point D, which prohibits parking a vehicle in any non-paved portion of a front yard.
I think that's an important one, because what Matt explained to me is that traditionally was in the city of Grandville zoning ordinance, and must have been inadvertently removed during one of the previous amendment or revision processes, but we haven't been able to enforce it recently because it was no longer in the ordinance. So getting that back in there would be really important for code enforcement purposes.
Well, like the other data center proposed ordinance, thank you to the planning commission for this. As the British say, this is kind of a sticky wicket when you talk about parking and recreational vehicles, and I mean, there's a lot of factors, so it's pretty short and succinct proposed ordinance in my opinion. So thank you, JR, for working hard on that, because again, it's complicated. The more you get into it, the more complex it gets. Randy, you have a question?
Yeah, for sure. Again, thanks. I think it's needed, and I wholly support not being able to park in grass and create dust and rot. So it just got me thinking, is there a limit how much concrete somebody could put in their front yard? Meaning if they got a cargo trailer and a dump trailer and you gotta park on concrete, you get more concrete, you get more concrete, or it turns into a parking lot, or?
Yeah, I mean, they would have to meet like the driveway standards of the city, and it may be more of an engineering concern than a planning concern, so it wouldn't be necessarily my area of expertise unless there were impervious surface requirements of the ordinance. But it would be regulated in some way, the addition of more paving to a site.
So this, to his point, the driveway standards would be the key one in this case. We do not, to my knowledge, have
Impervious
an
surface.
impervious surface requirement. I have worked for cities that do, and that's how they tend to limit things like that. There are obviously drawbacks to those requirements at all, but my understanding right now is they have to meet sidewalk, or excuse me, driveway standards, which would be our best way of dealing with that.
The other, Jason?
Is the section, I don't remember this one the last time we went through, I think I was on planning commission for 6 years, and this is like the third time we've talked about vehicles and parking in RVs. There's a section that allows 48-hour recreational vehicle parking in the winter season. Is that new? I don't remember that from last time.
Down lower under section B.
Yes.
I am not sure. That would have been before my time working with the city of Grandville. I'm not entirely sure when it would have been added.
That was in the last revision.
It wasn't in it, it's not new in this copy, it was
It's
the
not
last
new.
one
It's not a change
that you made just now.
Correct.
And I think that was put in there for people who travel, like Arizona or Florida in the winter, who needed some time to park in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, the reason I ask is we found some creative ways to enforce narrow windows of allotment, the 4 hour, like what is considered 4 hours, what is considered 48. And that was really the reason on why we changed so much that we did with the RV, the recreational vehicle parking, because we felt we couldn't enforce, we used to have a 3-day before a trip and a 3-day after a trip. We felt we couldn't enforce that, so we kind of opened it up to say, really all of spring, summer, and fall, you can park in your driveway, which I wasn't a huge supporter of. Now we found creative ways to enforce that. I wonder if we ought to, I mean, I am probably in the minority opinion here, but I would like to see us be more strict on recreational vehicle parking, given that we've now found a way to enforce smaller time limits. We've essentially taken, in our last draft, our last revision, we essentially opened up every time period in which people walk the neighborhood, kids ride bikes, and said you can park all of this time instead of just before or after a trip, because of the enforcement issues. But that was also at a time when we didn't have PCI.
Well, and I'll also say I obviously came in just after you all made the RV recreational vehicle amendments. I can tell you in the 2 years that I've been here, the concerns that we hear are not related to those parking in driveways. The concerns we're hearing are those leaving them out on roads. But, and truthfully, both RVs and in this case, what we're trying to address, the commercial vehicles. It's when they're on the public roadway for long periods of time.
Josh, you have a comment as well?
Yeah, no, I think this is good also. I'm wondering if the definition that we have for vehicles, for commercial vehicles, also includes trailers. Not
I
just the truck
don't,
themselves, but the trailer that might be detachable from the truck left on the road.
I don't believe the trailers are included in this particular section as a commercial vehicle, although trucks to which those trailers would be hitched are attempted to be addressed. We tried that a couple different ways. It was originally measured by weight in the ordinance before we started trying to work on this amendment. We changed that to width, which isn't going to capture every larger vehicle that's used for work like that. We were trying not to punish people who have maybe just like a Ram 3500 or something. So to answer your question, no, we don't directly address trailers here. We did our best to encapsulate as much as we could without beginning to impact maybe just homeowners who have larger vehicles or trailers on their property.
But Remy, let me interrupt you real quick, and Deputy Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but a trailer left in the roadway that's unattached to a vehicle isn't allowed to be there anyway.
Yeah, I believe there are some laws stating that. I would have to look.
I
I believe there is something for that. But again, we try to be, mindful of residents who are getting their roofs done or getting some landscaping that's there for a day or two. But yeah, I believe there are some state laws regarding trailers.
So maybe that's already addressed then elsewhere in the code of ordinances, but I'm just thinking that there could be an issue similar to what was brought forward about trucks. There are commercial trailers too that are detachable from trucks that could be left on the road that might.
I thought the trailer
That was
got
a
picked
similar-
up in our definition of recreational vehicle, and that's how it was addressed last time.
I'm talking like a commercial trailer though.
But I think it got wrapped up into
Okay.
just.
Just want to make sure it wasn't an oversight or a loophole that,
Sure.
might exist that we have to go back and address later, that maybe wasn't discussed or defined.
Yeah, I don't think we specifically discussed trailers as we were going through it, and with RVs being section B and commercial vehicles being section A, that may be something I would need to take a closer look at to determine exactly how trailers would be addressed under this ordinance.
We can work on that between
yeah.
now and the second reading and clarify that part for you.
I had the same thought, if you have a landscape contractor and he's got 3 flatbeds with mowers or concrete contractors or
Or air duct cleaning or something like that.
whatever.
You've got a big box of trailer that carries.
Well, I don't know.
So you're gonna take a look at that?
Happy to.
Okay, great. Any other comments, questions? If not, is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 26-002 regarding vehicle parking in residential zoning districts?
So moved.
Motion
Support.
and support by JR. Any other comments? Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Councilman Steenstra,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Vanderwall,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Gelderlos,
Yes.
Merringa,
Yes.
and Mayor Mas.
Yes. Now is there a motion to table proposed ordinance number 26-002?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Comments? If not, all those in favor of tabling, please say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Any opposition, please say no. Great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Jane, some budget amendments that are neutral to the fund balance.
For general fund, yes.
I don't know if you wanted to go over them or,
I really don't have anything to offer. We put together a pretty comprehensive listing of why the adjustments were necessary. This is mostly to make us compliant within the scope of our audit, and to handle any variances that have come up during the year for various things. One of them being the cemetery, so if anyone has any questions about any of it, I'm happy to answer.
anybody have any questions for Jane about the proposed year-end budget amendments?
Mr. Mayor, if I can, I just wanna highlight again, and I know Jane referenced it slightly, is the budget amendment process that we do annually at this time is very strictly in preparation for the upcoming audit. So it draws attention to and addresses specific areas of the budget where overages took place. It does not list and outline everywhere where there were savings or underspends in specific functions, so very consistently to the last several years, there are going to be many areas that will come up during the audit where we underspent. This process, just to show a net neutral budget amendment, it's specific to where there were overages, so, there will be good news to come when we get to the audit process.
Well, speaking of good news, I think somewhere in your memo you said the fund balance is like 29?
29, a little over 29%, just based on this current budget amendment. I don't anticipate it dropping below 29 in the next 2 weeks unless something happens that is unforeseen, but we're pretty much on track.
Any other comments or questions for Jane? If not, is there a motion to adopt resolution number 3397, a resolution amending the fiscal year 2025 to 2026 budget?
So moved.
Support. Motion and support. Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Councilman Sullivan,
Yes.
Vanderwall,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Gelderlos,
Yes.
Merringa,
Yes.
Steenstra,
Yes.
and Mayor Mas.
Yes. Next item is a consent agenda. We have a couple reports, the May fire report and investment report. And fire department, busy again, year to date, much busier, but last month maybe a little less, but year to date, up, what, 8%, something like that?
I think this last one was 8%.
Yeah. And also, the minutes from the planning commission June meeting. And so approval is requesting the best interest of the city, even though there aren't any purchases on it. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Support.
Motion support. Any comments? All those, Michelle, would you call the roll on that, please?
Sure. Got Councilman Vanderwall,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Gelderlos,
Yes.
Merringa,
Yes.
Steenstra,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
and Mayor Mas.
Yes. Griffin, city managers report already.
Thank you. Yes, first one I am very excited for. So Going to be seeking confirmation of the hire of a new assistant city manager this evening. So for a little bit of background, per the city charter, the assistant city manager is appointed by the city manager, subject to confirmation by the city council. This position was posted back on March 30th. We've included a copy of the recruitment profile in your packet, and applications were due on April 30. We were very fortunate to receive a really strong pool of candidates, and was just really excited to see all of those that were interested in joining our team. So following an initial screening process, we narrowed the pool down to 3 candidates that were invited to City Hall on May 21st for in-person interviews. Those interviews were conducted with an internal and an external panel to make sure we were receiving a variety of different input from both members of the leadership team, but also the various boards and commissions, the Planning Commission, the DDA, and a member of City Council, who this individual will work closely with. So based on our interviews and feedback from the panel, an offer of employment was extended and accepted by Krishan Martin to be the next Assistant City Manager for the City of Grandville. Ms. Martin currently serves as a department head for the City of Wyoming. She brings a really impressive resume and strong references, and I am really excited to have her join our team in this really important leadership role for the community. So we've included Krishan's application materials in the packet, and I'm happy to take any questions or concerns about the process, but ultimately we'll be seeking the City Council's confirmation of Krishan's hiring. And I do know that she's here this evening, if you all have any questions for her. But subject to, or I guess contingent on your confirmation this evening, we have a tentative start date set for July 13th.
Krishan, is there anything that you'd like to comment on? Welcome.
Not really. I mean, thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. Super honored. Excited to meet all of you and work with all of you. I'm a resident of Grandville. My husband and I have lived here for a long time. Our kids are in Grandville schools. It is just an amazing honor to have an opportunity like this in your hometown. This just so rarely happens, and I'm just really grateful and honored to have this opportunity to work even more within our community in this way. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Yeah, welcome. So you're looking for confirmation?
Please.
Is there a motion to confirm hiring of Krishan Martin as Assistant City Manager as per Griffin's recommendation?
So moved.
Support.
Motion, lots of support. Any final comments or questions? Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Councilman Flanagan.
Yes.
Gelderlos.
Yes.
Merringa.
Yes.
Steenstra.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Vanderwall.
Yes.
Mayor Mas.
Yes. Welcome, Krishan. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is in follow-up to the police department's June 8th presentation regarding the proposed 10-year technology services agreement with Axon. So as a friendly reminder, this agreement includes body-worn cameras, fleet camera system, cloud-based evidence storage, software licensing, connectivity services, a hardware refresh in cycles throughout the 10 years, as well as warranty coverage. So this evening, it's being recommended that the City Council consider authorizing the police department to enter into the proposed agreement, totaling a cost of $700,990.69 over a 10-year period, which equates to about $70,100 a year in the best interest of the City of Grandville. I do know that Deputy Chief Reitman is here this evening if there are other questions or concerns. And I did just want to note, since the last meeting, we got 2 questions that I can clarify. One, we received a question regarding what happens or what cancellation ability would the City Council have during this 10 years. And the short answer is the City Council or the city throughout these 10 years could cancel the contract with Axon for either breach of contract and or non-appropriation of funds. So should the city council get to a point where they say we can no longer afford this and we don't have the funds to fund this service anymore, theoretically, we could end the contract that way. There is not a cancellation for convenience language, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, using that term, but you don't get to just say we don't want to do this anymore. You would have to have a reason, either be a breach or no longer having the funding. And honestly, it's our recommendation that if council does not intend to go through the 10 years of this contract, it's probably not in the city's best interest to enter into this contract, but those would be the abilities that we could get out of it. There was also a question asking about data access and I think some privacy concerns related to the data that comes from these various cameras. So under Axon's standard agreement, the agency, us, would own our data. Axon does not have the ability to independently access our footage. We control and manage who can see it. So for example, in the case of the police department, should the prosecutor's office be investigating a certain case, we have the ability to give them access to specific footage in specific cases. And whether in those cases where the data is shared with an outside entity and or anytime it's viewed internally, there is a really robust audit trail tracking both time and whose login has looked at that information. So there is not a case where a random outside entity is saying, I want to get on Axon and suddenly see Grandville's data. That is not possible. The one caveat about the long terms and services we do want to know is there is a specific section that says unless we specifically opt out, which the city attorney and I are recommending, they can use some of the de-identified data to feed some of their product development, specifically their AI training module. And I think if there are concerns about that, I would recommend that we just opt out of that provision, and in that case, they couldn't use it. But those are the two questions I've received since the last meeting regarding cancellation and data access, but if there are any others, I know the deputy chief's prepared to try to address those this evening.
Josh?
Well, just a quick question that I thought of, is a data breach considered a breach of contract?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a breach of contract. To be clear, the remedy under the contract is limited. So the remedy for a breach of contract, there is a limitation of liability provision that limits basically their liability to what the city pays for services. So it's limited to what you pay. In the case of a services breach, it's limited to the last year of fees collected. So there is that limitation in the contract, yes.
I'm just thinking, you see stuff all the time, there's these major data companies that get hacked, or there's a data breach of some kind and your data is leaked or something like that. Would that be considered a negligent?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be considered, there would be contract claims or negligence claims, again, subject to that limitation of liability that's worked into the contract.
So it just struck me, 10 years is quite a while, but the advantage of price stability, I think, is probably worth entering into such a long contract.
Especially for technology.
Yeah.
Another question on the data retention, like standard if we don't flag it for investigation or share, like how long are the recordings kept?
90 days per the contract.
90 days.
That's the Axon thing. We have our own for court purposes, so if somebody's arrested or charged, depending on the crime, it could be up to 4 years.
Yeah.
But that's our own storage that we're paying for.
You pull it down from the Axon system and load it into a different system?
It'll delete so we can save memory. So we have certain crimes and incidents, depending on how it's tagged, will automatically cycle out.
Yeah.
And we do pay Axon for our evidence-based cloud storage.
Right.
Because that's far cheaper than having our own
Yeah.
data center in our building.
But it's 90 days unless you flag it.
It's 90 days at the end of the contract, so there's a limitation at the end of the contract, they only hold it for 90 days, you gotta figure out someplace to put it, and then at the end of the contract. My understanding is during the term of the contract, it can last as long as
Yeah,
long as
The departments have their own option to hold on to their own evidence, retention values, yeah.
So there's not a 90-day flag there. If a recording happens tomorrow, you could keep it.
Yes.
The standard.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I misspoke, yes, there's a 90-day window, but it's at the end.
It's for termination of contract, so if you talk about a breach or something like that, and you want out of the Axon contract, we have 90 days to get
the videos.
all of our evidence that is required by law to keep in a new server of some sort.
If you make a recording tomorrow, it won't automatically delete in 90 days unless you take action. It's gonna
No,
stay.
there's, depending on how you tag it, the way of the technology.
Okay.
Yeah, love to show you sometime.
Any other comments, questions? No? Is there a motion to approve entering into the proposed agreement with Axon Enterprises in the best interest of the city in the amount of $700,990.69?
And Mr. Mayor, I'll note that what we have right now is just a quote, we don't have the final form.
Okay.
So if the council would consider it, adding in the final form is approved by the city manager and city attorney, that would be helpful.
In a form is determined by the city attorney and city manager. Is there such a motion?
So,
Motion by Josh.
support.
Support. Any other questions or comments? Not, Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Gelderlos,
Yes.
Merringa,
Yes.
Steenstra,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Vanderwall,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Mayor Mas.
Yes.
The next item for you all this evening is a purchase agreement regarding 3233 Wayburn. So a purchase agreement to acquire the property is included in the packet. The negotiated purchase price is $285,000. The agreement's been reviewed by the city attorney, and a few notes is it provides for closing on or before July 2nd. We're aiming for June the 29th at this time, and allows the current owner to remain in the home for up to 21 days following closing. And ultimately, the purchase agreement's contingent on city council approval this evening. As a friendly reminder, I do want to note that the city charter provides that the city may not purchase, sell, or lease any real estate or any interest therein except by the affirmative vote of 5 or more members of the city council. So we will need at least 5 of the 7 of you this evening to move forward with the purchase. And then ultimately, it's recommended that the city council approve the purchase and authorize the city manager to proceed with any necessary due diligence, closing requirements, and related actions to facilitate the acquisition of the property, should you all want to move forward in the best interest of the city of Grandville.
Questions for Griffin? You've put in a copy of the purchase agreement. Is there a motion to approve the proposed purchase agreement and authorize the city manager to proceed with any necessary due diligence, closing documents, and related actions to facilitate the acquisition of that property?
So moved.
Motion by Tim.
Support.
Support's down there. Any other questions, comments? Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Merringa,
Yes.
Steenstra,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Vanderwall,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Gelderlos,
Yes.
Mayor Mas.
Yes.
So the next item is where, Kyla, if you'd like to come up. The tree board's been working to review and ultimately looking to adopt the DNR approved tree list. And they are requesting that the city council consider adopting it and posting it on the website. They've also been reviewing the DNR's guidelines for newly planted trees. Copies of both have been included in the packet. And I think Kyla had some things to share in regarding their work.
The DNR basically updated the list, and they include things on the list too that are invasive, so that we're not planting trees that are gonna take over our city or take over our parks. So we went through the DNR's list, and we also want to consider our diversity within Grandville for the trees, so that if we have a major disease or a pest that comes in, it won't just like take out the majority of our trees. So at the tree board, we went through the list, and we also worked with Charlie, so that if there were things that would cause a maintenance issue, like some of the locust trees have very hard, solid roots, and they will like distort the sidewalk or bring it up, or the driveways. And so some of the things that the DNR approved, that we decided amongst the board that would not be a suitable tree for Grandville. And so that's the list that we provided, so that you can make a decision. We have a list currently on the website, and this would just be an updated list that our community, the city, the planning commission, anyone that wants to resource what trees would be a viable tree to plant or not. And so that, I'm just asking that we can update the list on the website.
So this list that's attached, this is the list that you've tweaked, or this is the one right from the?
No, this is already, and if it's printed in color, you'll see that, is it in color?
No. Not in their packet, no.
Okay, so I can get you a list in color, and what it does is the blue trees are like some oak trees. So you can imagine if we're planting oak trees on a street, we listed them as a tree not preferred to be put on the street because of the hazard, the driving hazard, and it going in the storm sewer and things like that. And so we want to, we color coded those, and then we took off any trees that we didn't feel were suitable for Grandville or caused a risk for, you know, like the maintenance crews and things like that. And so that was updated. And then it also has not recommended for planting. So like if somebody asks for a tree, they can quickly scan through that to see, and that's in red, and I can get you a color coded copy so that it's easier to see. And that way you wouldn't be planting like Bradford pears. Like we've had examples where a site plan wasn't followed, or people cut trees down, and then of course the nurseries want to get rid of those Bradford pears. They don't want them to be out there, so they will sell them real cheap. So if you got to replace a tree and you're on a site plan, that would be a great tree to put in. And so hopefully we can consider that when things like that come up, and that the planning commission can also, they also have this, they don't want to have to research all the trees, so if the list is on the website, that's a great source for them.
Good. Well, thanks for all the work on it. You were suggesting that we refer that list to the planning commission?
I am. Kyla and I spoke earlier, and it sounds like that hasn't necessarily happened in the past. So the zoning ordinance specifically says that the City of Grandville Tree Committee shall develop a list of undesirable trees. The trees on this list shall not be used to comply with any tree planting requirement in this ordinance. So I don't think there's a requirement there that you have to send it to the planning commission, but I think the city attorney and I spoke, and the fact that the zoning ordinance reference a list being prepared by another board and commission, it would probably be a good practice to at least send it to them at a minimum for review. I'm not trying to pretend that, you know, the planning commission, for example, are tree experts. I think they definitely look to the tree board, you know, for that guidance, but just because the zoning ordinance is ultimately the document that would be enforcing that, I think it would be a good practice to at least give them a chance to review it before bringing it back, and council can formally adopt it. We can put it on the website.
Well, now that the planning commission is done with data centers and recreational vehicles, they've got some time to do that, so thank you, planning.
We're good?
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Is everyone comfortable? We'll defer that to the planning commission and bring it back. Okay, thank you all. The last item on the agenda for this evening is the updated priority tracking spreadsheet. So we have agreed in the past that we were going to review this on a quarterly basis to monitor progress. It was last brought before the council on March the 23rd. So no formal actions needed, but I would encourage any discussion, questions, or feedback from the city council. Specifically, you'll notice that we've included 2 spreadsheets this time. So this will be the last quarterly update where we will bring essentially the 2025 priority list before you all, and then you can see the first version of the 2026 priority list that was developed at this year's strategic planning. Again, I'm happy to speak to any of these in as much or as little detail as you would like, but I guess maybe I'll just leave it there and see if there are any questions or concerns about any of these items.
You know, it always strikes me that it seems as we go, day to day through the year, there's not a lot of activity, things seem to move slowly, but at the end of the year, when you look and see how many things actually have been accomplished, and other ones, like the proposed aquarium, I mean, that's not gonna happen, that's just off the table now. So, most things have been addressed, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you all, particularly if you look at the 2025 list, so let's kind of call this the wrap up of that list. I mean, I can tell you I'm proud, and I think the council should be proud of the progress that was made on a lot of these items this last year. Are we perfect and is every single item green? No, but I think you will see there's a lot more green on there than anything else. I think you will notice that some of the items are outside of our control, so I think that is a reason why some of them don't move forward. I also know that as I was originally putting together, and I've used this template in some other communities, one of the things I really struggled with is last year we had 32 items on this list. And I think any of you, in leadership positions like this would know 32 priority items is probably too much for them to be prioritized. So we put specific attention to kind of the first 10, first 15, but I wanted to put them all on here because I think it's also going to be a helpful tool for us to look back on the strategic planning reports we've done, and then you can look back at the progress we've made over the year, and to your point, Mr. Mayor, see the progress that we make and the steps that we've taken to advance a lot of these goals. So 2025, I think we should be proud of, and if you look at 2026, I mean, I think we're off to, a good start. I think there are a lot of these items we've made some good progress on, already just getting through the budget process. There's a number of these items that are in yellow right now, but I expect we'll start to move more once we get into the new budget year and have that money available to start to take some of the next steps. You mentioned the only one that's in red right now is the aquarium, and that's one that I think we all know was very exciting and important and really would be transformational for that northern part of our town, but unfortunately there are parts of that are outside of our control. I think the couple that I would just highlight as we move into this upcoming fiscal year, where I'm gonna need some help, is there's a couple of these items specifically referencing natural resources inventory and management plan, sustainability plan, that the notes I have right now are we're gonna need to define a better scope. You all will be aware we did not include money in this budget process for it to advance those specific items. Nevertheless, I think before we can even have conversations about money, I know I'm gonna need some guidance from you all on what do the scopes of those specific studies look like. Does that look like you guys sending them to a relevant board or commission to maybe work on a scope? We don't need to decide right now, but I would like to help the council move them forward, but I know those specifically right now, and after conversations with a few of you and some members on our boards and commissions, I think a sustainability plan and a natural resources inventory, many of you supported those things, but I think they mean different things to different ones of you. for the lack of a better way to say that. And I think we're gonna need to put a little effort into clarifying what is it we're trying to accomplish, and then I'm happy to work with our team to try to suggest some ways we can potentially do that. Otherwise, like I said, if there's questions or concerns about any of these, please let me know. But otherwise, I will continue to bring kind of a version of this back quarterly and open it up for discussion unless you all tell me there's another way you'd like to do it.
Appreciate you working on it. Thank you. Thanks for the update.
Absolutely.
Questions, comments for Griffin?
If there are none, that's all I have this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good. Councilmember comments. Gerald, let's start with you tonight.
Yeah, not much. Krishan, welcome. We're thrilled to have you, and we're glad that you chose this as your next place of service, and we're excited to have you, and looking forward to meeting you and getting to know you, so welcome. That's it.
Just want to say welcome to Krishan. It was a pleasure meeting you at your interview a few weeks ago, and very excited to have you here at the city, so thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, same thing. Welcome, Krishan. Happy that somebody's gonna be in that office and, working on things again, so, we're excited to have you. That's it.
Josh?
Yeah, welcome Krishan. I would say welcome to Grandville, but you've already been part of Grandville for some time, so welcome to the city, I guess. It sounds like you've been doing some great work in Wyoming, so glad to have you here and excited to start working with you. Congratulations.
Yeah, likewise, congratulations and welcome. We're thrilled you're here. I didn't know you lived in Grandville, and I can see where that's really special for you. It's really fun. That's great. So glad you're here.
Okay.
Just to round it out.
No pressure.
Welcome. Excited, looking forward to working with you more, and excited for the holiday coming up. Good time to be in Grandville.
Great, yeah. Krishan, welcome. Thank you, Mike, for being on part of the interviewing process too. Appreciate your time with that. So, yeah, looking forward to the 4th of July. It's a big one this year, 250 years. So everybody be safe. Thanks for joining us tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion? Support. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposition, say no. Great. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy this beautiful summer evening.